everyone out there in Zoom land, wherever you are. I am Sally Levine, and I am the president of the Shaker Arts Council. And we're thrilled to have you with us this evening for the premiere of Stay in Place Productions' theatrical presentation of The Time Machine. Stay in Place Productions encompasses the Arts Council's various efforts to provide quality content during this pandemic. Other activities include our gallery of sidewalk and front yard art created by our neighbors, as well as online webinars and classes. Just visit our website, shakerartscouncil.org, for more information and to register. That's ShakerArtsCouncil.org, all one word. In the coming weeks, we will be hosting 2 more theatrical presentations. Next Saturday, August 1st, we will present Mariama White Sings Broadway, and the following Saturday, August 8th, we will present the married couple of Anaya Farrell and Don Carrier in Love Letters. All of these amazing artists live right here in Shaker Heights. You need to make a reservation for each performance. And of course, check out our website for more information. All 3 performances have been made possible by a grant from NOPEC, a local provider of gas and electrical power. We are very grateful for their support. And we'd like to ask Courtney Freyhoff of NOPEC to say a few words.
Good afternoon or evening, everybody. It is evening. My name is Courtney Freyhoff. I'm the Community Outreach Manager with NOPEC. So what on earth is NOPEC? I've been learning as I just started this job recently myself. We are the largest nonprofit energy aggregate in the United States. So pretty much we buy energy in bulk and work with communities all over Northeast Ohio to pass on their savings. Through the different programs like the one sponsoring tonight's event, we're able to then further give back to communities through sponsorships, grant programs, energy advising services, and much, much more. So we're happy to be here and supporting this amazing event. And I really appreciate you guys having me here.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you. Tonight's presentation is a radio play of Time Machine performed by Radio on the Lake Theater Company. This science fiction classic is adapted from the story by H.G. Wells, and it takes the audience on a journey to the year 100,080 and a world where beauty and terror live side by side. Radio on the Lake Theater is dedicated to the preservation, creative development, and educational outreach of the radio theater genre. In a minute, I will turn the program over to Radio on the Lake Theater's Executive Director, Caroline Breeder-Watts, who has enjoyed a diverse career in the arts over the past 30 years with projects in radio, theater, and film. You may be familiar with Caroline's voice, as she is responsible for all on-air fundraising for 90.3 WCPN, an NPR member station, WVIZ/PBS, and 104.9 WCLV classical radio. But before I turn this over to Caroline, I have a couple notes. After the performance, there will be a short demonstration of how the sound effects were created, and then there will be some time for questions and answers. So feel free to use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. And finally, when we begin the performance, keep your screen in gallery view. And now, without further delay, I would like to introduce the Executive Director of Radio on the Lake Theater, Caroline Breeder-Watts, who will introduce the play. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you so much, everyone, for inviting us to do this. We're so excited about being here with you and presenting this play. As you know, theater is a little bit challenging right now in the midst of this pandemic. We cannot do it live in a theater together. And obviously, we're looking forward to the time when we can do that with you again. But we're also very grateful for modern technology, for Zoom, making this possible. So this has been a little bit of a challenge for us from the sound effects standpoint. We'll talk a little bit more about that after the play, but without further ado, let's get going and enjoy The Time Machine. Escape with us now to the year 100,080 and a world where beauty and terror live side by side, as H.G. Wells describes it in his immortal story, The Time Machine.
When I met Professor Dudley, I thought him as having one of those intellectual minds that was tragically too brilliant, whether it was due to the pressure of trying to outdo himself or out of complete frustration of being constantly misunderstood or just out of utter boredom. No matter what the cause, I was quite certain he was mad. And I wasn't alone. That's how his guests talked about him behind his back. They would politely smile and understandably nod their heads during his monthly dinner parties, secretly grateful more for the food than for the company or conversation. Well, I was honored to have been invited more than a few times, but knowing that his guest list usually included renowned university professors, independent scholars, and other men of distinction. However, one night, as it did on quite a few occasions, the conversation involved time travel, a subject that Professor Dudley was more than passionate about. This would make most of the guests uncomfortable and cause them to leave earlier than usual. Well, Professor, I suppose I should be off as well.
Suit yourself. Philby, thank you for coming.
No, thank you, sir. I'm grateful to be included on your guest list.
Yes, I suppose you are. Good night, then.
Yes. Do you really believe it, sir? Do you really believe that one can travel through time?
It's been done.
Sir?
I've done it, and so have you. We can't avoid time travel. It's our normal state of being.
Of course. But traveling back and forth in time like you suggested tonight, do you believe that's possible?
Philby, my friend, it's a certainty. If your mind isn't as tightly sealed as my other guests, you should come with me and see what I've been working on for the last 3 years.
All right. You have an impressive laboratory, Professor.
Thank you. Now, look here. What do you think?
It looks like one of those horseless carriages. But where are the wheels? And what's that huge crystal disc on the back? Is it a new kind of engine?
It's a time machine.
Dudley, you are mad. A time machine.
Yes, my friend, a time machine.
This thing.
This very thing.
This contraption, this framework made of quartz and bronze and ivory, with its levers and its dials and seats in the middle.
I promise you, Philby, that on this machine, a man can go wherever he likes in time. By working these levers, he can choose his century, his year, his very day.
Oh, really, Professor?
Like I told you tonight, time is only a kind of space. If we can move about in all the other dimensions of space, why not in time too?
Oh, you can't just ride back and forth through time. It's impossible.
Well, what of the journeys I've already taken on this little contraption?
I'm afraid you've been having a bad dream.
Very well. You shall have proof, my friend.
How?
Just climb on, Philby. Sit in the seat beside me, face these ivory dials, and I'll take you for a little ride through time.
Well, you mean right now?
Right now.
In case this thing should take off like the flying red horse, are there any
Any preparations? No, Philby. You won't need any luggage on this trip, not even a toothbrush. You'll be back here in my laboratory in less than a minute.
Oh?
Before you climb aboard, please tell me, what time is it?
It's, well, just 10:30 in the evening.
Good. Now, be so good as to leave your watch hanging on that coat rack.
Over here?
Yes. Now, let's get ourselves seated.
All right, I'm on. Now what?
Hold tight. It sways a good deal. I'd hate to lose you.
I can't be frightened, Dudley.
Then you're braver than I am.
Yes.
Before we start, I want to adjust this control a bit.
Is everything shipshape?
Tell me, did you notice anything just then?
Only a noise, a humming noise, nothing else.
And what time is it?
You just asked me, Professor, and you told me to leave my watch over there on the... That's odd. My watch says 9:15? But it was just after 10 a moment ago. There must be something wrong with it.
It's only that I touched the lever to test it, and we've gone forward a full day. 22¼ hours at any rate.
Yes, but... Dudley...
Finished scoffing, Philby?
Yes, I believe I have.
Then hold tight. This will be the real article.
I'm ready, Dudley.
Good man. Well, say goodbye, Philby. Say goodbye to 1902.
We went off with a shattering jolt. With the machine swaying under us, the walls of Dr. Dudley's laboratory suddenly fell away. Night was speeding after day like the flapping of a huge bird's wing. I saw the sun hopping across the sky, leaping swiftly across it every second, and every second marking a day. I saw the moon spinning through her quarter like a ball, from new to full, all in the twinkling of an eye. Trees grew and blossomed like puffs of smoke and then passed away. All the while, we were going faster. Now our pace was a year a second, so that second by second, the white snow flashed across the world and was followed by the bright, brief spring. And still we went on, into the future.
How do you feel, Philby?
Very weak, very dizzy.
Don't let go. Don't fall off.
Where are we? How far have we come?
We're in 100,050 and 60 and 70.
That's enough. Stop it. I can't stand it anymore. Stop it.
Philby, you all right?
Yes, I believe so. No broken bones. What happened?
Not sure. Must have stopped too suddenly.
Well, where are we, Dudley?
Well, look around for yourself. A wide lawn, a beautiful vast garden.
I meant geographically.
Just where we were when we started. Where my laboratory stood.
And the year, Dudley. What is the year now?
100,080.
It seemed absolutely incredible. A dream, and a pleasant one. For the garden in which we found ourselves was beautiful and summery, with an unexpected perfume about it. At some distance we could see a large and imposing building, and everything was quiet and peaceful, but almost too much so. And a sense of strangeness, and incredible strangeness, sent a shiver up my spine.
100,080. Philby, do you want to go back?
Yes, I'd rather think I do.
All right. Maybe now we'll get to 1066 or 1 million BC.
Dudley, did you hear that?
From over there in the bushes.
It sounded human.
Come on.
Why, it's a child. It seems to be a very small girl.
There's been a beast here of some kind, struggled with her. Look at the marks on her arm.
Now, my dear, you'll be all right now. You won't be harmed. Of course, she couldn't understand English.
She's motioning us to go with her.
What about the animal? Did you see it?
No, not a glimpse. Too fast for us.
Perhaps we'd better go back, Dudley. The girl seems to be all right now.
Leave her like this?
Yes, I've had enough.
Well, they haven't, Philby, because they're here all around us.
They had crept up on soundless feet to surround us, the people of this era. And the girl we'd saved was not a child, but a full-grown woman. They all stood 4 feet high in simple tunics. Beautiful creatures, but terribly frail, with a plump and soft kind of frailty. They were like eerie figures in a dream, and all we could hear was the rustling of their clothes as they circled happily around us, their faces weaved in smiles. Why, well, they're not savage at all. They're very loving and gentle people.
Yes, but there's something terribly wrong with them.
Well, how do you mean?
They seem like children.
Well, how do you expect them to be?
Far ahead of us, of course. Incredibly ahead of us in knowledge and science.
Oh, they seem to be happy in this huge garden of theirs. Dudley, I've changed my mind. Let's stay. Maybe we should enjoy spending a few days with our new friends. The people led us home, into their valley. They lived in colossal buildings, sleeping all together in one huge hall, eating in another, playing and frolicking in the sunshine. And we lived with them for days in utter contentment. One afternoon, Dudley and I walked along the banks of the great river.
Philby, have you noticed that these people all wear the same clothes? They have the same soft, hairless skin, the same feminine roundness of limbs.
I wonder if it's because they're all vegetarians.
They're vegetarians because they have to be. You haven't come across any horses or dogs or cattle of any kind, have you?
No, Professor, now that you mention it.
With good reason. All extinct by now. Just as the dinosaur is with us. Such a strange and different place our Earth has become.
Yes, I actually prefer it in some ways. Less noisy, more pastoral.
With sheep for people?
Pardon?
You know what I'm talking about, Philby. As a scientist, I want to learn all there is to know about them and their culture. But I find myself frustrated at their lack of, well...
Humanity.
Yes, exactly. With the exception of that girl we rescued. Anytime I try to communicate with them, they all break out into laughter.
I was trying to teach some of them English, but I began to feel like an unpopular schoolmaster amidst children.
Very disinterested children. One moment they come up to us with eagerness, and the next they wander away to something else.
You sound as if you're disgusted.
Perhaps. It seems to me that we've happened upon mankind upon the wane. It's sunset, if you will.
What makes you say that?
Strength is the outcome of need. We come from a time when we're trying to make life more comfortable with electricity, connected with telegraphs and wires, and more secure and convenient with the power of steam. All these things are making our lives better, a true civilizing process.
How can that be bad? What happened? Where did we go wrong?
Come now, Philby. The work of ameliorating and improving the conditions of life must have gone steadily on to a climax. One triumph of a united humanity over nature had followed another. Things that are for us mere dreams had become projects deliberately put in hand and carried forward. And the harvest is before us in these playful, grown-up children, devoid of ambition. What a waste.
Now, I can't put my finger on it, Dudley, but it doesn't add up. There's something strange here, something hidden away, silent. The year 100,080 may look pretty, but I can't help feeling that we're being spied on.
We think alike, Philby. See this?
Oh, well, those are the control levers of the time machine.
I took the precaution of removing them and putting a master padlock on the main switches. I don't much fancy the idea of someone riding away with it into another century and leaving us here for the rest of our lives.
That makes me feel a little better. The city is so completely different now that I can make out a few geographical landmarks, an ancient building from our time here and there, but even the river seems to be miles from where it used to flow.
Yes, quite extraordinary. Come on, then. Let's head back to the shelter and gather our things. I've seen enough of this paradise.
I'm inclined to agree with you. Wait, Dudley. Do you know where we are?
Yes, of course. This is near where we landed.
I thought so. I wasn't sure.
Why do you ask?
I can't see the machine anywhere.
What?
The machine's not here.
They've taken it. They've stolen it.
But this is where it was, right? It was right here.
Look, Philby. Tracks. Look here, where they've dragged it. Over here, come along. Down this path. Look, right here. The monument. They took the monument.
The tracks stop at those brass doors on the base.
Open up, you little thieves!
The doors, they're locked. Dudley, did you hear that?
Something's behind the doors. Sounds like movement and faint laughter, but
But what?
nothing. The machine must be in there.
Yes.
Inside. Let's go look for something to pry the doors open or break them down. We must get in there. Come on.
How can we? What can we use?
Here, use the ladders.
All right, I'll try.
Break them down on 3. 1, 2, 3.
It's no good, Dudley. They're solid. We'll never break through.
Never. Never. There's got to be a way. There's always a way.
The doors are solid.
I spent the last 3 years building that machine. I am not going to let a simple door stand in the way of our only way home.
Oh, I just realized we may never go home again.
Why take the time machine? Why? Why?
We were caught in the year 100,080. The time machine was gone. The brass doors of the monument held. Our retreat was cut off. The thin line by which we could make our way back home, back to our own time, our own people, back to 1902, was broken. And the people's language was still a mystery. Any time we tried to communicate with them, it was met by howls of laughter. But it wasn't hostile. They weren't taunting us. Their attitude was innocent. They were more like simple wandering children. Only one, the young woman whose life we had saved on the first day, became really friendly and was able to tell us her name. It was Weena. She always kept close. She went with us wherever we walked and slept near us at night in the hall. She'd always make us garlands and bring us flowers, which she would sometimes drop in our pockets, the very thing being somewhat of a mystery to her, along with grass or whatever she fancied at the time. I was pleasantly surprised that Dudley wasn't furious at her for this. I suppose the main thing was, we had a friend. And as time went on, we were able to teach her a few words in English. Now that we could communicate some ideas, we redoubled our efforts like men racing against the clock so that we might speak to her and discover the secret of our immense loss. We were talking to her one night after the others had gone to sleep.
No, not we, Dudley. No.
How can you be so sure your people didn't steal the machine? Aren't there any thieves among them? Are they all perfect?
Not so loud, Dudley. You'll wake them. Besides, she doesn't understand.
The thief must be sleeping somewhere in this hall. Weena, they take machine?
No, Dudley, no.
Who then? Who took it, Weena?
We are friends.
Yes.
We must have the machine.
Yes, Dudley, yes.
Who took the machine? Other people, not yours?
Other?
But what about those doors, Weena? Doors open?
No, not open.
Weena, machine, in there, must open.
No, not open. Not open. Bad.
All right, never mind. Go to sleep. Get some rest.
Yes, Dudley. Sleep now.
What's to become of us, Philby? Are we caught here in this century to spend our lives with these people and their secret?
We'll go back to the monument tomorrow. We'll find a way of breaking in. Good night, Dudley. Dudley?
Yes.
Did you just... There it was again.
What?
Something on my face. Cold, filthy to the touch. On my face and in my hair. It's cold. It's death, Dudley.
Yeah, you're right. There's something in here with us. Smells of the grave. What was it?
I don't know. But look at them. Look at the people.
It's as though they've been stampeded. Let's get out of here. I want some fresh air.
We went quickly from the hall and outside, away from the people. The moon was full, just overhead, and it was close to dawning. There was a faint sound speeding close behind us, and we turned, our nerves ragged and our muscles tensed. But it was only Weena, coming swiftly to join us.
Dudley, I'm afraid. Dark.
But then there is something.
What do you mean, Weena? Dark what?
Dark place, dark things, night.
Why should they be afraid of the night, Dudley?
It's not the night alone. Dark place, that's our clue.
Perhaps it's something underground. It was another day. We had wandered into a lovely wooded place about a mile from the community. Suddenly, Weena screamed. We stopped short. A pair of glaring eyes were fixed upon us. As we stood there, petrified, the thing, a little ape-like figure, rushed across our path and disappeared in the clearing about 30 yards away. What was it?
I couldn't see it too well. It seemed to be a dull white thing with white hair on its head and on its back.
It looked like a small ape.
It was running on all fours with its arms held very low.
Weena, what was it?
Morlock, a Morlock.
Who are the Morlocks? What are they? Weena, tell me.
No.
Let's go over and see where it disappeared. Come along, Philby.
In the clearing, we found a round well-like opening. Dudley and I leaned over and looked down a deep shaft. A small white creature was retreating down a ladder in the well, like a human spider, its large white eyes watching us as it went swiftly down. Then it disappeared in the shaft.
Philby, did you see it? Like an ape?
Yes, but also like a man.
So there are two species of people in this world.
Yes.
The people above the ground and this obscene thing, this bleached monster below.
Like huge rats. Like worms that are cold to the touch. Oh, I know, because they touched me.
Philby, you feel the air being sucked down into the shaft.
Yes.
The earth must be tunneled enormously here under our feet. These monsters must live in the tunnels.
I think we know now who stole our time machine.
Yes, then...
Then we'll go down and have a look.
No.
Why not, Weena?
Go.
Why not?
Morlocks, you'll never come back.
We must have our machine, my dear. You wait for us here.
No.
And so we went down, our heels ringing on the small metallic bars that were meant for creatures so much smaller than us. Down we climbed, down, ever in darkness. Ever, it seemed, into the center of the earth, into the core of the world. Oh, how much longer?
We won't know until we reach the bottom. Can't be much further. You hear that? Like machinery. We're almost there.
Oh, thank heaven for that.
All right, Philby, I'm on the bottom. Come along, just a few more steps. Now, give me your hand, Philby. Good, we're here.
Yes, in the land of the Morlocks.
Do you have a match?
Yes, here.
There seems to be a large vaulted chamber at the end of this passage.
What do you suppose they'll do if they catch us?
I have no idea. Better take care not to be caught. Another match.
That throbbing noise!
Probably their ventilating system pumping the air down. There must be thousands upon thousands of these Morlocks living under the earth.
We haven't seen any yet, except for our friend who came down ahead of us. Why do you suppose they wanted our time machine?
I think they wanted us, not the machine.
And we've come to them.
We must. It's our only chance. You know something, Philby? If that noise does come from air pumps,
Yes?
why is it so stuffy here, so oppressive?
I noticed that too. Dudley, what's that strange smell?
Blood.
Blood?
Light another match.
Dudley, look straight ahead. On white metal table.
It's set for a meal.
Yes, with a small haunch. Do you see? Meat.
We know that the cattle are extinct.
Then what do they feed on, these Morlocks?
Don't you know?
Yes, I know.
Oh, another match.
Dudley, I have no more. I've used our last match.
What ill planning. To think I didn't even bring a Kodak with us.
A lot of good it would do if we never make it back.
Of course. Well, without matches, we have no choice but to return to the surface. Come on.
Oh, right behind you.
At any rate, we know the secret now. The Morlocks living here underground, they are masters of this age. And our friends up above are merely fatted cattle, fed by the Morlocks, clothed, supplied, and housed until the day when they're cut out of the herd, brought underground as food.
It's not the fading utopia.
No, this is the future you're looking at. This is our future.
Dudley,
What is it?
in this darkness, I felt hands, cold hands.
There are pipes along the walls. You feel them. Some are loose.
What, did you get one? Give it to me.
Use it as a weapon. Lash out against the Morlocks. Use the pipe I gave you. Use the pipe, man.
They're all around us.
This way. Follow me this way. Back this way.
We went back in that evil darkness, fighting every step as we went, back to those projecting bars, kicking and clawing ourselves loose from their talon-grasping hands, and climbing up again, up toward daylight and freedom, away from the stench and the eagerness of their icy hands. And they did not follow, for daylight was their enemy and their great fear. And we lived among the lush gardens of the little people like prisoners, like men without reprieve, like men who are dead but still walk the earth. For the time machine was locked away behind great brass doors, and we knew we could never force them open. Then, one day, Weena told us of an old building, an ancient sagging structure that had survived through many ages and was filled with many curious objects.
Museum. That's what it must be. A museum, Philby. Perhaps from some earlier time.
I'm in no mood to go looking at a museum.
Don't you see? Specimens are medically sealed in museums. Perhaps there are things, weapons, machinery, something we can use.
Yes, of course. If we could find some dynamite or gunpowder or something.
We could blast those doors. We could get in.
Where is this place, Weena? This old building that no one ever goes near.
I take you. It's not far.
A chance, Professor. A slim one, but a chance nonetheless. All day we wandered through the great ruined halls. The building had been deserted, unused for perhaps a century. The childlike men of that time had long since ceased to care about anything but their own personal comforts. It was late afternoon and growing dark when we came upon the chemical section. We found nothing useful to us until then. Now came the worst disappointment of all.
And it's dust. All of it. It's been dust for countless centuries.
Another dead end.
It's hopeless. We were out of our minds to hope that nitrates would retain their form for 100,000 years.
We go now? If nothing here.
Wait. Just a moment. There's something in this case.
What, you can break it with your lever.
Stand back a little. A box of matches, medically sealed.
Wait, let me see it. Why, they're perfect, solid and sound. They're not even damp.
And what should we do with them? Burn down those brass doors?
Well, you'd better keep them. You can't tell.
Philby,
What?
on the floor. You see them. Small, narrow footprints leading away into the darkness at the end of this gallery.
We'd better go.
Pick Weena up and carry her. We're going to have to make a run for it.
Now, don't be frightened, my dear. You'll be all right.
Go on, run!
We came out of the gloom of that place into the deeper gloom of dusk, and suddenly we were trapped. All around us were the Morlocks, and they were there by the thousands, surrounding us and coming closer. The long, even line of deathly white, their eyes blinking in the half-light, their tiny mouths alive with appetite.
Philby, the matches!
Yes, I have the matches.
Light a fire here in this dry grass. The forest around us is dry. Hurry, man! We'll have an inferno here in a minute. Our little friends don't like light or heat.
The fire leaped high to the heavens, and the countryside was ablaze. The Morlocks turned in fear, blinded by the glare. Some of them plunged into the raging flames, and the rest faded away like fog. Dudley had left a narrow passageway to our retreat, and we fled down a long corridor of leaping flames and blistering heat. We fled towards safety, to the community of our little friends. As we ran, we passed the huge monument with its great bronze doors, and suddenly, in the glare of the distant fire, we saw something that stopped us short.
They're open! Philby, the doors are open!
No, not go in! Dudley, no!
It's a trap. They're waiting for us inside.
Waiting or not, we're going in.
Dudley, it's suicide.
It'll take me 1 minute to screw the levers on again. Then I touch them and we're away.
All right, I'll try to give you your 1 minute.
Good man.
No, not go! Not leave me!
No, now you, my dear, you hold tight around my neck. You're coming home with us.
All right, let's go. Wait! Look, the machine. They haven't harmed it.
My goodness, it looks like they've cleaned and oiled it.
It's a trap, all right. They'll be around us any moment.
I don't see them yet.
Come on now, quickly.
The doors, Dudley. They're closed. It's pitch black again.
Just get in the seat. I'll be ready in a moment.
I waited for the hum that would signal our departure. There in the darkness, the Morlocks were finally upon us. Cold, persistent fingers swarmed over my body, tugging at me and pulling me away from the machine. I held tight to Weena as any man would hold fast to life. I tried to kick them away with my feet. Hurry, Dudley, hurry!
I must fix these levers quickly or we're done. There. Philby, we're away. We're gone.
Yes. We've made it.
Are you all right?
I'm all right.
Good. And Weena?
Weena isn't with us, Professor.
What happened?
They tore her from my hands. At the last second, they got their filthy cold talons around her. I tried to save her. I couldn't. I still have a piece of her tunic here in my fist. A little piece of her tunic, Dudley. Nothing else. And so we came home again, back into the very minute in which we had left, back into 12 noon, October 6, 1902. We were in Dudley's laboratory again, motionless, sitting on the ridiculous contraption which he has called the time machine. Was it all a dream? Did any of it happen? Could any of it happen? Of course not. How stupid. Then, what of this? What of this piece of thin green silk I hold in my hand?
Thank you all so much. That was the time machine. This is Radio on the Lake Theater. As we mentioned earlier, I'm Caroline Brader-Watts. I'm the executive director of the company. I was also the director of tonight's production. Let me introduce everyone. First of all, John Busser played Dudley.
Hello?
Ray. Stuart Hoffman played Philby. Bravo. Brianna Hohenfeld played Nina. And then two members of my own family were a very important part of this company. John Watts, who is our artistic director, and he's also our sound effects artist, and my daughter, or our daughter, I should say, Victoria Watts, who was his assistant for this evening. Yay, one and all. I will tell you, I hope that folks, if you want to send in some questions or anything, we're going to do a demo in just a moment, but and we'll be happy to answer a few questions if you have them. I will tell you that doing this on Zoom, particularly as a radio play, has been very challenging because Zoom, as wonderful as it is, and I know we all use it for our personal business and our professional business, is really not designed for theater. We're all adapting to this as we have to now in the midst of this pandemic. And as I said earlier, we're very grateful for this technology, extremely grateful for it. But the problem is that sometimes when you have layers of sound or certain pitches or certain decibel levels, sometimes things get aren't heard as clearly. So that was the challenge that we've wrestled with this past week as we've been rehearsing the show. So John, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know you have a couple of sound effect devices you'd like to point out in particular, but maybe you want to just briefly talk about the challenge for you as a sound effects person.
Well, thank you, Carola. Basically, there are three different kinds of sound effects. There are your traditional sound effects that make the same sound that you think they would make, like doors and winds and water tank, glass breaking boxes. Then you have percussion instruments that are also sound effects, which are the chimes that we use.
Hello.
And then the other sound effect is the one that is the most fun. You have to find a sound or something that will make a sound that the sound effect is. Like, I don't know, where'd the fire go? Anyway, like the fire. We can't obviously have a fire here in the theater, so we use cellophane and string. Another type thing is like, how do you make a mechanical sound? We use this, which is an old ticket taker from the 1950s to make that sound. Also, how do you make the sound of a pipe coming out of a wall? So you fill a metal can full of rocks and sand and stick a galvanized pipe in there and you turn around and you pull it out. But these take the most long time to do this. And sound effects are strictly here to support the actors. And I think they did a great job.
Right.
You know, all three of them, they were acted with their hands or arms. And so it gives me direction to know when to like bang a door or do something like that. So really happy with these guys, and I'm happy with the sound effects that we had tonight. I do have a question for the actors. I have a question is, how do you guys get ready for a virtual play as opposed to a play on stage? Stuart, why don't you go first?
Well, I guess I'm still figuring this out myself, other than just some casual readings with friends, or Cleveland Public Theater does a monthly works in progress thing called Dark Room, and I've participated in that, but this is the first time where it's been an actual like play with an audience. So sometimes it's just very things to get used to, whereas like in a theater I could just warm up my voice in the theater and get a sense of how things feel, but with a microphone I trust you guys to tell me how's it coming in. I'm not very tech savvy, as they've discovered today. So for me a lot of it's just just the differences of almost like working film acting versus stage acting. This is much more like film acting, especially since it's a camera picking every little gesture up, whereas in stage you're playing to the end of the back of the house. So a lot of that is just stuff getting used to, So like that's a little bit of the challenges for me anyway.
Jump in real fast and say, you know, a lot of the challenge of doing this on Zoom is that we don't control a lot of the elements. We don't control, for example, the Wi-Fi signal. And we learned that the hard way today because Stuart is actually in our basement. He started in his own apartment and his Wi-Fi failed. So we regrouped quickly, said, come on over, because we also have to social distance, of course, because of the pandemic. I'm on the 3rd floor. The sound effects people are on the 1st floor, and Stuart's in our basement. So we're all socially distant, but we figured out the problem.
Stuart, if you need rescuing, just blink your eyes. I'll call.
What about you, Brianna? How'd you prepare for this?
I've been doing like a lot of like self-tape auditioning, so I kind of just had to get into the mindset that it was like that. And it's a different feel, obviously performing in front of people, but for some reason it felt like a lot more calming knowing that I didn't have eyes like directly looking at me, and it was just more so through a screen. So it was less anxiety, and I was just kind of like able just to like go for it. But I do miss actual live theater 100%. I cannot wait till that comes back. But it was really nice to be part of this. And so it was nice. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And John?
Well, so many people have wanted me to do my acting remotely. Really easy. No, here's a true story. I did a show just this last year, and an audience member came up to me afterwards and said, and I'm telling you the exact truth, "Are you from here?" I said, "Yes." "You should move to Detroit." And then they turned and walked off.
Oh my gosh.
Why, but so I assumed they wanted me to do my acting remotely. So I've gotten very good at it.
Oh,
you know what Stuart said about Darkroom, because we've been doing that on Zoom lately. So we see where the tech problems are. And, you know, we've sort of gotten used to them now. And, you know, you just power through but, you know, if the screen freezes up and you see somebody's, or you didn't hear their line, but you know they said it, you just got to keep going. I mean, the show's got to go on.
Yeah.
Great, perfect.
John, could I have you, John Watts, could I have you just show them 2 different things? Because individually, they're so wonderful. Together, because of this issue we have with sound effects, you didn't always get to hear exactly what they sounded like. One is the theremin. If you've never heard of a theremin, if you've ever listened to the theme from Star Trek or theme music from any sci-fi film you can imagine, there's that wah, 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 wah sound. That's a theremin, and we actually have one. So they're going to do a quick a funny little gadget that just, you know, you can manipulate the sound. And then John Watts, if you could do the wind machine. That is a hand-built wind machine. Most of our sound effect devices were built by hand, either by John or by someone that worked with us. That's what we prefer to do. We prefer to not use recorded sound unless it's absolutely necessary. We want to find a way to make all of these sounds either by these machines or by the fabulous voice of John Watts, who really got to ham it up tonight as the Morlocks. So I know that was fun. Yeah.
Caroline, it looks like we have 2 questions.
Let me hang on one second. Let me see.
And while Caroline's looking at them, we would ask anybody has any questions for us, for the actors, for us, for Caroline, for Shaker Heights Arts Council. Let us know.
I do have a comment from my friend Peter, who is actually joining us from Miami, or really from Hollywood, Florida, which is where we used to live. We used to live in South Florida, and Peter and I used to work together at a radio station down there, and he's commenting, at my radio station and stations across the country, we have also been forced to adapt to the vagaries of remote audio. I think audiences have been very forgiving. And ironically, I believe our vulnerability in that regard has brought us closer to our listeners, or at least I hope so. I think, you know, if you ever watch all the news programs and everybody's doing things from their basement, it does add sort of a personal aspect to it. And he also asked how many rehearsals did we have before this? We rehearsed on Wednesday evening for about 3 hours. We rehearsed for a couple of hours today. And I will say, because these actors are so great.
Yes.
They didn't need a lot of directing. The thing that we had to really rehearse was the sound effects and dealing with the technology and, you know, some of the issues that came up as a result of the technology. So that was, you know, the actors were fabulous.
Yeah, thankfully, since we don't have to, since, you know, we have the script, we didn't have to learn the lines, just get comfortable with them enough. And also we don't have to worry about, you know, blocking and you know, lighting and everything. Well, lighting, yeah, but you know what I mean. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we thank you all so much for coming. And on behalf of Radio on the Lake Theater, we'd like to thank the Shaker Heights Arts Council, of course, the granting organization NOPEC. We are so grateful for this opportunity to have performed for you this evening. Now we're going to be watching some upcoming performances through the Shaker Heights Arts Council. Next week is Mariama White Sings Broadway, and the following week we will watch Love Letters with Anaya Farrell and Don Carrier, and we're looking forward to those. We hope you will join us for all of those. Once again, thanks to Shaker Heights Arts Council. Thanks to NOPEC. Thanks to you. Long live theater. Wear your masks so we can get back to live theater as fast as we can. And thank you all so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.